Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here. Somewhere in a 20-mile radius of Mendham, kind of thing. But anyway, was in Mendham. Anyway, still haven't not paid any attention at all to this naming issue. So I guess that's sort of the subject, which is sort of interesting. Why do we pay attention to things in the first place? Which is the main subject, kind of, sort of. But it relates to communicating. Why do some people, right now, they just said, fuck this video. They just left. Because I didn't do something interesting enough. I didn't show my boobs or something. And they're gone. There's all kinds of, and you say, why? Why did their brain say that's the right thing to do? Just get the fuck out of here. I didn't listen to this asshole. Why? Why does that train run? Why does that plate spin? Why does, whatever the analogy is, and attempting analogies to describe function, art, the art of it, is it, but all art is a science. Artists really aren't sitting there saying, soul, tell me what to paint. They're really mechanically sitting there saying, that line ain't right. That's too dark. That's too red. Their brain is just seeing errors and saying, no, that can't be right. It's catching. But it's doing it in this mechanical way. In a sense, it's like some sort of algorithm running, some sort of program that says this is what robot means, right? This pile of images here. At least the Google algorithm says these are the important robots. They come up first. There's some stupid mechanical reason, and the same thing would happen if I had you choose out of a million pictures of what robots were representative of robot, and you would take a long time to do it, and do it probably better than this algorithm. But that's the difference. The algorithm did it in a microsecond of some kind, some fraction of a second. But it has a huge database that it can manage and blah, blah, blah. And so it's just talking about how these brains that we have things work and how they attempt to communicate and why they are what they are. See, I can say from my perspective, I could explain it. I'm really just a two-trick pony now. I only do two things. Well, there's the third thing, but, it's like I already know that's a dead end. The fun, playing with just being human. No, well, I did see, but that's not even correct, because there's the fourth thing, this stupid of planting of flowers and stuff. But that's really all I do now is physics and this philosophy crap where I spend some time contemplating what it is to be a participant here on planet Earth. And you can't avoid that one just because people, well, you can't avoid it if you don't leave the basement. But sitting outside watching the humans, it just provokes, how the hell did that person get where they are, and how that guy get there, and some asshole again with this, drop off your friend at his house and then throw your garbage out your window. And you're just like, what? Who hatched that kid? How do you have that as a routine? And then the whole, I had a whole conversation about whether you should actually attempt to provoke a thought in their head by pointing out, well, can I go shit in your front yard? Where do you live so I can go shit in your front yard? Is there any point in attempting teaching a lesson? Because a lesson just means that you're going to do something unpleasant to them, cause them some embarrassment, or provoke anger, or provoke something. And is it going to be good for you? Is it going to be good for them? Is it going to solve the problem? And you can spend a long time figuring, well, what words am I supposed to use? And that's sort of like making these videos, is what approach should I apply? Like, I want to even bother having one of those. I just want to convey a message. The message is life is an incredibly dangerous thing to play with, right? It's you can't even compare it to like radioactive material or something. It's just incredibly dangerous, and you're way underqualified. Why do you think you're capable of creating human beings? Did you study the all the psychological books? Do you really know how all the plates spin? Do you know how to control the experiment? Fuck no. I mean, you don't have any of that expertise, and you know it. You haven't spent 5 minutes of your life contemplating, the implications and the consequences, and whether you should turn them into a homo, or whether they should be this, or whether they should be that. It's that kind of world now. Maybe it's okay to be some sort of like happy, Barney the dinosaur kind of guy, or something like that. Maybe that's good. Why do I want to make them into something? Why do I want to make them into something that has to fix the dirty, stinking world? Why shouldn't they just be a happy player? Blah, 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 blah. Have you spent any time thinking about it? No. And yet you're going to take on the responsibility. I mean, I should be able to convey that to you without hurting your feelings, or, I can't listen to that. Who the fuck are you to say? I'm not saying. I'm just saying words. The words are just a collection of words. I mean, you want to, I'm imposing some authority on you. Bullshit. I'm just imposing a logical statement that you should know what you're doing. Yeah. If you're going to do something, do it right. Oh, gee, that hasn't been around for 10,000 years. Yeah, it has been. These are just basic concepts. Do unto others as you have others. Would you have some other asshole be just as unqualified in playing with your Play-Doh, so to speak? Their hands are on your junk. You want them to not know what they're doing? Come on. So, I mean, this isn't even complicated. And yet I have to make these bazillion videos and spend hours and hours droning on and on about all these things. And, it shouldn't be that difficult to go tell somebody, you don't throw your garbage out the car window. It's just, you never see that in a commercial, do you? Like somebody gets a new car and the first thing you do is throw your garbage out the window? I mean, where are you getting the idea that that's how the function of cars is that the window's there to throw garbage out? Fucker. And what street did you walk down where you found it so pleasant? Oh, look at all the wonderful garbage on the street. Oh, and the wonderful aroma. Oh, I just find it so fucking charming. When did you have that experience? What are you, Can you explain to me how you have these kind of weirdo plates spinning in your head that says this makes sense? Please explain it to me. And that's what I probably should be doing is research. I probably should go out there and just start asking everybody, you're about 200 pounds overweight and you're wearing spandex. Will you explain it to me, please? What do you think, all flesh is boob? So, I have 200 extra pounds of boob. Some of it's on my ass. I have boobs on my ass and boobs on my thighs. I got boobs everywhere. What? Yeah, no. And then they're automatically, charming. Doesn't matter what kind of condition they're in. Oh, if it's a boob, it just doesn't matter what kind of fucking lumpy pile of crap it is. Yeah, it does matter. Why do you think it doesn't matter? How did you get the notion that it doesn't matter? Anyway, just saying. So where was I? I mean, I understand it's, moo-moos don't look good, but, there's a time and a place for everything, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so I guess that's the plate spinning. I don't look good in a moo-moo. They just say that. I mean, I guess I could make the same argument. Well, I can't make the same argument. I mean, I just don't like wearing clothes, and it's just the way it is. I don't like wearing. Jeez. But anyway. So where was I? Yes, robots. So so how do we get in the condition we're in? How do we keep maintaining plates spinning in our head, ideas, themes, behaviors, habits that are just plain stupid? And when, I think we all probably have some experiences with the idea that well, all of a sudden I decided to change something, and change wasn't that hard, and I did it, and blah, 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 blah. And, that's just sort of the fact. I mean, small changes, big changes, no. But, yeah, it's not, all of a sudden you watch other people's life change. They go to being overweight, to being, in shape, and they do this and do this. And obviously there was some sort of decision process where their brain, figured out, oh, it's time. I've known it for years, but now's the day I decide to do it. And it's just based on the fact that, instead of one plate spinning, there's two plates spinning, and, that theme became strong enough to overwhelm all the other plates spinning. Then there was just less distraction, you could say. I mean, that's really the big one, right? Is that you can spend your whole life just entertaining your gooey stuff. Just watching and wallowing in. And yeah, might be a point where you realize, that just makes you tired, and doesn't get your life anywhere. You don't wake up the next day in a better place or advancing anything or something else. So you might notice that it's just not terribly productive. Or the other stuff might become more urgent. I suppose I could say that's, for me, sort of the point, is that, you have certain realizations. Now, the nihilist and the glib will have this attitude that, circle of life, it's just going to keep happening, I can't change anything, blah, 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 and they give up. Or they just say, they're just so focused on them, and they think, well, it's not going to, it's like a virtual reality or something. Well, it's not going to show up in time for me to use it, so I'm not going to do any work on it. I'm not going to help make it for the future because I won't be able to enjoy it. So they're just so selfish that, they don't realize that the people of tomorrow are going to be made out of the same stuff the people of today is. And some of that stuff is probably going to be pretty similar to your stuff. And it's pretty much could be called a you. You could always give it the same name or something. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've made this point before. There'll be so much more similar. I mean, in terms of the same kind of plate spinning. Don't throw your garbage out the window kind of plate. They'll have all the same plates as you. And so it might as well be you then, right? I mean, it doesn't have to have exactly the same hair color or some other kind of bullshit, but, the very similar reactions and feelings. And so, yeah, that's you. So I got to work for that guy. I got to spare that person the indignity of living in a lesser world because I decided it wasn't important what world they lived in. So again, that's another simple idea. You should be able to convey this to people really easy about how the future is really big and really important because it has so many things in it and so much happening. And it's the only place you can change. You really can't change the past, really. And the present's just moving too fast to do anything with. And so the future's everything. And that's what you should be investing in. When you're doing your, what should I really be doing? Thinking. The word future ought to pop up in your head. And if you want to make it easier to keep that plate spinning, you just focus on the fact that, oh yeah, I really am going to be living in it. Not me, but I I will be living in it. So if I give a shit about me, if I'm as selfish as I think I am, then I should have a pretty selfish interest in saving the future the indignity of living in a shithole. Or the pain. I mean, it's not just an indignity. Let's get real. The vulnerability of being consumed by the couldn't give a shit system of cars driving too fast, even. Every day it likely happens. Somebody ends up having their life ruined just because somebody had to go 10 miles an hour too fast. Yeah, just the fact. I'm making a simple point that if I wouldn't want it happening to me, why was it okay if it happens to somebody else? I mean, again, these are such simple themes. You have to go through all this work to convey such simple ideas. Well, you know, that makes an irritating plate spin in my brain. It's unsettling and disturbing. Oh, look at that, a turtle robot. Well, that I like. Right there, yeah, turtle. So anyway, back to the mechanical theme. That we're just a collection of themes, ideas that became important for some reason. So again, I could say, okay, I can understand. You know, if I was to pick two ideas to think were important, physics and meaning of life, you know, those are pretty good ones. And I can't say I picked these, right? I mean, in the sense that it's just the process that elevated to me to these two things, this circumstance where now my brain is just obsessed with explaining these two things, figuring them out, and then attempting to come up with ways to explain how right that description is. And you know, some of this we can do. You know, you can draw pretty hard conclusions. There's no God. I mean, that's just so unrealistic. You know, there's no intelligent creator, all that kind of evolution. I mean, you know, so some of this stuff you can write down in the book of truth. It's hard facts, and you can do some of that with physics, I think, too. And but then a lot of it is we're still trying to understand. And I guess part of I think the answers are simple, and I think sometimes we say them exactly the way that's right, but you don't even know that you said it right and it's the right answer because the noise in the environment is so inconsistent with that sound. You know, so with what you're saying, how simple it is, you know, I think you could describe our brain as just a bunch of knee jerks, you know, a series of reflexes, you know, and it's an accurate statement. It might be all that needs to be said, you know, in some sense, that once you understand that, yes, it's just a series of reflexes that have in it a bunch of concepts, and the concepts are either important or unimportant in terms of some sort of meaning to some sort of bigger picture, and you know, you could just go through it kind of mechanically and put everything in its right place and say this is how it basically works. And yeah, I can't make a model that has 1 million concepts in it, but I could probably make a model that had 10, you know, and you could see how they move around through this reflexive process. And, you know, you could make a robot, something that could synthesize most of what we do. The problem with robots is they're mimicking, they're not synthesizing. So they're not taking what we do and take the essence of it and duplicate the essence. They're just mimicking the behavior. So when a robot says, hello, I love you, it's not doing any of the, those words don't mean anything to it. It's just saying the words and saying them the right way to fool you into thinking it had a brain, and it's saying those words for reasons that have brain reasons, rather than just, I'm saying it just so I look like a human. So there's a big difference between looking like a human and appearing human, you know, appearing to be a thinking machine and being just a duplicating machine, a mimicking machine, something that just fools the other chimpanzees into thinking it's a chimpanzee because it has the right trigger behavior, you know, that it triggers the right responses. It knows what buttons to push on us to fool us. So that's a big difference. So, you know, when you say we're robots, I'm not saying we're mimicking being human. Obviously, we are in this complex gray area where we have this intellectual capacity to do this logical combining of facts, to understand something like you don't impose risk on somebody else, especially risk you wouldn't impose on yourself. And even if you would impose it on yourself, you have to figure that, well, maybe other people are rational and wouldn't impose that risk on themselves. So I was watching some videos, somebody else was watching, Anyway, and I end up seeing, these people that do these insanely stupid stunts. Now, it all looks very good. They film it in HD, and they're spinning around the air on their bicycle, or they're doing some other kind of wacky crap, and they land on top of a building, and blah, blah, blah. But you're just saying, I mean, how many fail videos could you make out of their attempt to do this stupid thing? And, why would a rational person waste their time attempting something that's just opening the door to catastrophic failure and ruined life and future and potential and all that for nothing? I mean, for for a glory moment that just, you got to just watch the video for the rest of your life? What are you going to do with it? What next? So anyways, but all this stuff you see that has to, had to require a ton of preparation and work to be able to do this silly stunt. And so you could ask them, you could pose something to them. Well, would you impose this risk on? And they'd say, yeah. Would you mind if somebody imposed it on you? No. Because somehow they don't mind doing something insanely stupid. And so that's a problem, is that, I can only create arguments. I can only say that it's wrong to impose risk. Well, that doesn't mean anything to somebody who doesn't understand what a risk is, and, really hasn't thought about all of this consequence stuff, and isn't appreciating that, it isn't worth even $1 million. That it's not a fair, like if I gave you an option of, here's a 50-50 chance that you'll be paralyzed for 20 years, have to live in a wheelchair for 20 years, or you win $1 million. And it's 50-50, one or the other. Now, you can choose not to play. Okay, so the 50-50 comes with the third option, which is, fuck that. Why wouldn't you take the fuck that option? I mean, just fuck it. Too stupid. Why would you reach your hand in and decide to pick one of those stupid things out of there? Obviously the $1 million isn't, but, probably wouldn't even fix your life anyway, right? I mean, in theory, for a rational a person who's careful, I mean, it could mean you don't have to work for the rest of your life, if you live meagerly and all that kind of crap, it can provide a pretty good life. But yes, the risk of 20 years in the wheelchair? Come on. Anyway, I guess I could say 40, and then that might mean something to somebody. So, I mean, these subtle differences you could make into these little, this circumstance you could throw at somebody and say, what do you see? I mean, I drew something here. What do you see? So I've given you a 50-50 chance. What do you see? Do you just this 20 years in a wheelchair thing go blah, 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 warning, warning, Will Robinson? Or does it say nothing to you? Like it just says, oh, I can do that standing on my, well, I won't be standing, sitting on my head. Yeah, I can do that sitting on my head. But I mean, that's sort of the challenge here, is that, you don't have common understanding of the boundaries where these, it's like their lens isn't the same kind of glass, and so we're trying to convey an image to each other, an impression, and the problem is that we don't interpret things the same way, and our reactions are fundamentally different. And so I guess I would say that, okay, I should be able to come up with some kind of logical proof. I mean, some sort of language that is beyond reasonable doubt and, indestructible, explaining how that risk is idiotic. That nobody who's using their brain in some kind of functional way, don't step into traffic, don't, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something don't use fish hooks to, change your contact lenses. I mean, simple things, and, demonstrate that if, you can get that much stuff, you really have to be able to get that, no, this isn't a ticket worth, it's just not worth putting your hand in that hat. The $1 million just isn't worth the risk tied to it. And, you know, that's why that's sort of the challenge, is to come up with language that makes that understood, in terms of getting some of these basic themes right. So I guess that's why you have to make a million videos, is because you have to explain why it's wrong to throw your garbage out the window. You have to explain how, you know, every negative contribution you make to the world is really negative, and likewise with the positives. Every bit you clean up makes it, you know, it's the only way it gets done. It's one step at a time. You could just make that simple logical argument that, you know, the staircase to forever is still just one step at a time. You got to step on all the stairs to get there, blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, it is possible to make arguments that might be persuasive to somebody, and so I guess that's why the effort seems worth it. So I've put my hand into a a thing that says somehow this is worth doing, that there's a point to it, that there's some hope of gaining or getting somewhere through some positive advancement. I'll be back. And I have to go first. Another one of these little facts of life. You have to go first before you can come back. Alright, I'm back. So I was just thinking about these robot pictures. Just could try a new one. You know, the objective is something to compare it to computer science wise, but you know, then that doesn't even work for the audience, right? So I'm using an analogy that most people might not even understand. You know, like they wouldn't understand the difference between Linux and Windows or different platforms, and that you can't, you know, unfortunately, pretty much can't write a piece of software that'll run on both automatically, you know, without some kind of cheat somewhere. So you can't just I can't just say some collection of words well enough to defeat the fact that the operating systems on these different devices would be different. Some would be running Windows and some Linux and some, whatever, Mac OS or something or whatever, and there won't be any compatibility, just like in language problems, right? I mean, I could be saying this stuff in some language you don't understand, and so that's just totally defeats the purpose of saying it, because all the meaning's lost because there's no translating system. And so that's part of the problem, is you're trying to communicate often to people whose operating system is so different. It's not just that they, you know, throw garbage out their car window. They function different in almost every aspect of existence. And so all of this can't mean anything to them, because they never really do any of this sitting quietly somewhere and thinking about, oh, what kind of asshole am I? I mean, am I a colossal asshole, or just a little bit of an asshole, or how much of an asshole am I? You know, which seems just something, you know, I'm always doing that kind of fact-checking, you know, always taking a minute to see what my ass looks like in the mirror or something. You know, I'm curious. And some of these performance issues aren't as obvious as that, so you have to build the mirror yourself in your brain to be able to see a reflection of yourself and say, well, what am I really doing? How much am I scheming to get pussy? And how much am I just scheming to get pussy? And how much am I, oh, yes. You know, just recognize that, oh yeah, these wheels still are turning in such a stupid and retarded way. I really shouldn't, you know. And so then you can acquire just little moments where you say, yes, I got to work on that, like an exercise routine. Like you see a little bit of too much, you know, stuff where it shouldn't be, and you say, oh, I got to work on that. And it's the same kind of thing. But this isn't an experience these people have had, so they have no relation to it. So they have no relation. They can't relate to the words or the concepts because they've spent no time doing any of that introspection that's required for you to have some concern about performance, or, you know, whether you're utilizing your potential you know, whether you're getting anything out of this machine that you are. Are you running it backwards? Do you have it plugged in? You know, is your robot plugged in? Are you running on batteries and have the system is in safe mode or something, and it's just not? Ooh, that's sort of an interesting concept, because you know, it could be argued that I'm operating in safe mode. You know, that I can't really do the full human thing because I'm too paranoid. You know, that the system's going to break down. You know, it just isn't going to be able to dance that dance without failure. You know, it can't multitask. It can't do this. It can't do that. So I've reduced my functionality to some basic functions, just so I can exist. You know, as a rational being, because it's all such an irrational world. I mean, I'm in, you know, I'm in such a mess kind of place. Perception to those sensibilities, that if I don't turn the machine down, you know, if I don't make it not pay attention, you know, it would react by screaming hysterically and twisting its own head off or something like that. I wish it was you know, something that seemed easy to do. You know, it just doesn't. It seems like theoretically, yeah, why not? I give it a good turn, but you know, it's just the position. You know, it'd be nice if we had a better position, like if my head was somewhere else, and then I could give it a good yank. But it's in a place that's hard to give it a good yank. You know, it's just kind of irritating that we can't twist our own heads off. It's probably an evolutionary thing. You know, evolution fighting against against us. You know, just trying to prevent. So irritating. But that gets into evolution is such a fascinating subject, because there's so many subtleties to our function, that where you do draw those lines and you say, well, why wouldn't, you know, I mean, evolution is obviously placed in a few mechanisms to keep us from just self-gratifying, you know, versus doing the thing that's going to be genetically more profitable. You know, profitable to the replication process. And it's funny how they're just these subtle psychological mechanisms, I guess, you know, that keep us from becoming obsessed or eating. It's like eating too much and all that kind of stuff. There's mechanisms, and you know, they're just very subtle, though. They're not like obvious mechanisms. Obviously, your stomach can get just too full, but I just mean, you know, there's that strange line of functional versus dysfunctional. It's just you know, it has a lot of lumps in it and bumps. It's not a clear-cut, obvious thing where you draw those lines, where our physiology is drawing the line. You know, how big do you make the bones versus how, you know, flexible do you make the organism, and all, you know, how far can you bend your back. And you see a lot of flexibility in how humans function. You know, the double-jointed thing is interesting. I mean, why aren't we all double-jointed? It seems to be a huge advantage. But there must be obvious disadvantages. Okay. So maybe you get more arthritis or something, or maybe you don't have as much torque. You know, your grip strength is weaker, or some other, you know, there's probably some reason why. Well, there's probably some reason. No, there's definitely some reason. And it'd be nice to know all of these facts. And, you know, we can't know all of them. And so we have to summarize them. And that's part of what this whole process of communicating is doing, is explaining each other's summary. Why have I come to this summary judgment that life is fail? You know, that yes, it has elements that are fun and gooey and whatever, blah blah blah, but you pay for them, and you pay way too much for them, and you personally may not pay for them, but somebody's paying way too much personally, and you know that much is true. You know, there's people right now in the mental hospital just whirling in a tornado of torment that they just never get out of. Their brain is just constantly tormented and tormented and tormented. It's absolute hell. And there's nothing I'm doing that's worth that. I mean, even when I'm having my best moments, it's just not worth it. And I can know that. Yeah, it's just logical. You know, until you take all these risks out of the game, it's not a game that can be played by a rational person. A rational person says it's way too dangerous. But this is not what pop culture is, certainly. People keep voting for irrational things. You know, when you give people direct democracy, they'll tend to just vote for complete rubbish. You know, I don't want to pay any taxes, but yes, I want you to pick up all the garbage, and I want you to do this and do this and do this, do this, but I want to pay for it. You know, they'll vote for both things. They'll vote to have it, but not pay for it. So it's just retarded. And likewise, they'll say, I want a progressive future with all kinds of fun. But they don't want to think about the consequences of that. Well, we have to experiment on a lot of animals and torment them and glue cancer to their heads and do this and do that. And we have to do all these horrible, awful things to get there. And they don't want to pay the price. They don't want to think about the price. It even goes that far. It's not even that they won't pay it. They won't even think about it. They'll just say, do it. Okay, with some sort of magic. Get me what I want, and let's just pretend I can have what I want without somebody getting what they don't want. And we know it just doesn't work that way. You don't have your iPhone and your convenience and your happy and your cheap unless somebody else is doing something they don't want to do. So it's just, you know, again, reason to recognize it just doesn't work. You know, you can't make it over here and break it over there and say, I'm winning. Especially when you're breaking 3 to 1 or 10 to 1. You know, the ratios start getting ugly. And the fact that we, you know, I mean, the life subject, you just go to the point that we all end up failing. We all end up, you know, you want to say that. You want to say we all. Obviously, there's some people who get lucky. They live a horrible, crappy life, a shitty, gluttonous pig life, and then they die, you know, in 3 seconds in some sort of really convenient, comfortable way, like in their sleep. Or close enough, heart attack, massive heart attack, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they get off easy. But not most people. You know, most people are going to have to go through some horrible transition from functional through this whole dysfunctional thing to get to completely dysfunctional. You know, sin that's never really talked about in the robot world. You know, the robots are just supposed to be, oh yes, they're just replacement parts and blah, 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 blah. But that's not our existence. And it never will be. It's a practical matter. So, these are really lousy robot references. I mean, it's all this kids' toys. But anyway, that's Google now. That's what popularity does. You know, the people voting. This is the people voting on what's important in the world or what's relevant to the word robot, and this is it. And, you know, this pop culture kid crap. You know, just 12-year-old interests, sadly. So you can go into all that, even those algorithms that are deciding things and how much do we allow the influences to affect us. And so, you know, this is the whole problem with reproduction, is there's no real point in talking to people, adults, you know, first because, you know, especially the older ones, because, yeah, that game's already over. And the young ones are just too disinterested. They got too many other plates spinning, and they just can't be bothered having a conversation about accountability and responsibilities and obligations and all of that crap, because they're just thinking about, you know, getting them some. And and then they'll do a superficial analysis of, oh, do I want to have kids? Well, yeah, sure, because mine will be cool and neat like me, and yeah, that'd be great, and sure, why not? They're not expensive, are they? I mean, they actually haven't even thought that far, you know. I don't have to pay for them, do I? Yeah, they haven't even done that. And those are the people that are having kids. So, that's the problem here, is that, we really do need to kill parents. We have to kill a few parents. We have to, imprison them and then torture them and kill them to create some sort of, pause and, get a little bit of reward and punishment here. There needs to be a sensible placement of accountability and responsibility, because obviously parents are raising retarded kids that don't do any thinking, like, oh, I live in a society, I'm part of the human race. I mean, they don't even get the simple things. It's not even close. It's just so bad. So that's more commentary, but part of the truth is going to be an indictment of what is, not always instructions on how to get someplace better by understanding that you're just a bunch of silly programs. And if you have the idea that your programs aren't what they should be, if you say those, if you hear those words, and then you say that your brain reacts to those words by saying, okay, that sort of makes sense. I have some shitty programs. Once it's made that concession, that means that's a new program that's going to stay in there, and it'll keep bubbling up to the surface now and then, giving you like an alarm clock saying, have you done anything about that fact that you're an asshole sometimes? And you'll say, oh yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to do something about that, aren't I? And that's sort of the getting to the mechanics of it, like how does brain work? Where's that reminder coming from? And mechanically, how does it get stuck in there? Because that's really all there. Once you know the trick, it might become, everything becomes easy, right? Like losing weight. Once you know the trick, oh, I can't eat food. It's sort of easy. Once you get the idea that this isn't about how much you're eating, it's about how much you ate. That's the problem with the fat thing. It's not what you're doing today that's the problem. It's obviously what you did some other day previous to now. And to fix that, you have to do something to today. Even though today you're not eating too much, you did in the past, and so you have to eat too little now. It's yin yang, and so now you have to, you did the yin thing, and now you have to do the yang thing to fix it. So you're going to have to endure some discomfort. You're not going to do it for free. So there's little tricks of understanding. Yes, tricks of understanding. Understanding helps. I mean, if you really understand how something works, you can do a lot more with it. You understand how much flex you have and how much torque you can put on it and how much all that kind of stuff. If you understand all those things, if it's a skateboard, you can use it better, perform better. And likewise with our brain, the more you can understand what the bad habits are made out of, what the why does one thing bore me and another thing intrigue me? Why does sometimes I feel like doing that and then other times I don't feel like doing that? I mean, those are the things you really want to try to get to inside of yourself. In terms of understanding, well, I really do need to make doing something I don't want to do something I want to do, and so I have to figure out how do I make one thing turn into the other thing? How do I make that interest change? And then you sort of realize that it's just about word associations, and that you just have to get it conceptually connected to something. So you have to figure out what it's connected to, and then try to make yourself horny for that. But some of that's really difficult to do because this is physiology. This is the gooey, emotional, and that's real triggery stuff. So it gets, it's a little bit murky. It's all ground up, and it's harder to see what it's made out of. Why I enjoy. That's a little hard to do. It takes some work to try to get to it. And even if you know, even if you have a mechanical model that kind of gets you to understanding why those things exist, like the plate's only spinning because you've rationalized a bunch of excuses, you know, that make it seem like it's going to work out, like you're doing the happily ever after thing to the plot story, so you can make all the bad stuff make sense because they have happily ever after at the end. But if you're if you're forced confinement on that, in the sense that you recognize, oh, there's a futility tied to it, a negative tied to it, then you can weight it down, knock it over, kind of thing. You have certain leverage to pop things in and out of your psychology by just recognizing the truth about some things instead of continuing to lie or make rationalizations and excuses. That kind of thing. Alright, I think I'll take another pause for probably no really outstanding reason. Except, yeah, I'm tired. So, be back for some kind of finish. Big, small, who knows. Alright, I'm back. So anyway, didn't get anywhere. My little bit of time off. I was thinking that the another one of these, the idea, the overall idea or theme here is to convey the simple idea that all goods are compensations for bad in a way. That's the only value they have is in terms of making something worth it. And the best way to make a good is just to prevent bad from the start, or if you can make there no bads, then you don't have to have goods to compensate for them. There's just sort of simple logic, and so I guess there's nothing I've really been trying to say for all this time in all these videos, except that there's efficiencies to be grabbed. That's why you say yes, people should have the right to die, because it's really stupid to die unnecessarily sloppily. I mean, it's just a bunch of wasted suffering and pain for no gain. I mean, if you're, especially, when people are dying in a condition where, they're never going to use their penis in any kind of fun way again. Lots of things are just not going to happen. They're not going to swim the English Channel. They're not going to do a cool trick on their skateboard. I mean, none of the things that you could think would be good things to have, the fun things. They're just not going to have any of that fun stuff. They're just running from fire. They're just trying to put the fire out. And you're saying, let's make that take a lot longer than it has to. Let's not let them have a fire hose, or let's, you're just torturing people, and that's just so insane. But we know that that's mostly because people have this circle of life crappy idea, and a lot of it's made out of this God notion that God is making the circle, and you can't offend God by saying you're done. God gets to decide when you're done. That kind of, I mean, obviously that percentage, those people, whatever it is, 30 or 40% of the population, have completely skewed the logic and broken the capacity for us to do something logical. And people think now that, the problem's solved because they passed a bill in the Senate. No, the bill is a piece of shit. Okay, the bill is, you can die if you can jump through 768 different little hoops. No, it's just bullshit. It just, again, and you could just make these arguments to these stupid, simple-brained morons who sit there and think you have to preserve their life. When somebody says they don't want to live, then why are you saying they do? How do you know they do? Oh, they really want to. How do you, what? You have some sort of special knowledge of meaning that you can figure that out? No, you don't, you fucking cunt. So, I mean, the whole reason to preserve something is usually because somebody wants to do it. It's like preserving somebody's right to climb a mountain when they've overtly said, yeah, I've done that mountain climbing thing, I'm over that. They're saying right to your face, I'm done, and you're just not paying attention, and you're still saying, oh, I've saved all your mountaineering equipment and all this and all that. well, fuck you. You know, don't do it and pretend you're doing me a favor, because you're not doing me the favor. You know, I mean, you know, and then you're just going to sit there and pretend that because some of those people, you know, you nag them over and over about how great mountain climbing is, and they finally agree, okay, I'll climb one more stupid fucking mountain. And then you think it's a huge success, because now you've talked them into doing something completely pointless. You know, like, you know, I'm saying living is completely pointless. I mean, you're just wanking through it. You know, it's all you're doing. You're just trying to find something to wank to, or on, or in. And, you know, that's why this whole robot thing, right? It's all to entertain us. These are all entertainment bots. You know, because you can't even synthesize a purpose for a robot except to satisfy some needs of a human being. They, you know, they can't. They don't serve any other purpose except to build things to pet us. You know, it's a petting machine. Robots, they're just petting machines. Oh, you look marvelous. You know, it's just horse shit. So, yeah, so it's probably enough of a video. I mean, yeah, I could ramble on and on and on. Well, I should, actually. I mean, it is sort of my job. But I probably should do it in hunks that are, you know, consumable. And maybe I'll make a couple of videos during the week. We'll see. But I've said that before and failed to do so. Because, yes, I'm always busy. So it's not like I'm just doing nothing. I mean, when I'm not doing anything, I'm doing something. It's true. I mean, I go to bed thinking about these concepts. I mean, I'm always working on it. So, you know, so don't think I'm just goofing off. Well, you can think it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't care. I think I'm a loaf. I suppose I don't care. That's not a critical thing to get right or wrong. The critical stuff is to understand rational risk assessment, and that you shouldn't let your stomach or your gonads or whatever be making these evaluations for you. You have to do them with your brain. You have to think with your brain by recognizing that, wait a minute, if this circumstance was different, would I think that's important? You know, if I change this stupid distraction, you know, would that be important? You know, you always make crude metaphors, and I make an effort to evade crude metaphors, but, you know, they're right there in front of you. So, you know, they're right there in front of you. You know. So anyway, yeah. But anyway, so I have to work on my performance as the robot who plays the role of saying, yeah, just be reasonable. Let's reason this out. Let's apply logic to this reality and say, what are we really facing here? What is really going on? Because this is like so ironic. It's like, you know, Frankenstein monsters making Frankenstein monsters. But that's the whole evolution problem. You know, they even have a little evolution thing here, the evolution of the robot. Yes, and now it's just become some sort of whatever, because the pop culture at the moment says this is cool, this is the cool current model, but the model of what we appreciated will completely change. You know, hemlines go up and down, and waists go in and out, and, you know, it just depends on these cultural saturation. What culture raised, you know, 20 years ago, what was the culture, because that made the people who are now controlling things, kind of thing, you know, or dominating the culture, because they have the highest population density and spend the most money, or some other kind of rules that are applied, are the most susceptible to advertising. You know, that's sort of the rule now. Whoever's the most susceptible to advertising gets to define the culture. It gets to define what is in this Google index. People who are impervious to advertising, well, they won't have any. Their selection of what should be in this index will not be paid attention to. And that's sort of how our systems work, and just more signs of, you can know, well, that's just not quite right. We should, you know, it should be done some other way, because that's not quite right. And there's just so much that just isn't quite right. There's so much that's overtly stupid. I mean, all the unsustainable stuff humans are doing. You know, let's have more electric cars, you know, even though we don't have batteries to run them. You know, we can't physically have enough batteries. So what? Who cares? You know, it's just so stupid. But anyway, so many. I mean, there's. Sorry. I mean, the world is just so dysfunctional in how it's thinking. It's not even defending itself with anything proper and sensible. And yeah, I mean, just imagine, you know, just looking this over and just saying all the man hours of work put into these stupid bots, you know, retarda bots, and you know, people feeling real good. I invented, you know, it's like inventing Barney the dinosaur. You're saying, I don't know if you did the world any favor there, buddy. Anyway, okay, that's enough. So, till the next time, and such, and so forth, and whatnot, and try again. That's all I can do. Endeavor to persevere, and such.